Alright freaks, we're back to wrap up the modification of the Kershaw Cyclone 1630. Alright, so we're doing a quick run through, put this thing back together, and hopefully do it in less than 10 minutes. Alright, so what I did is modified the handle plates, went through, sanded them down, and reamed out the holes that were there, kind of give them a taper, and then also the lanyard hole. And then went ahead and made a template of a 1630, obviously because it's the Kershaw 1630 model, and went ahead and sprayed that, did a black primer coat, then did this, offset it just a little bit, and did the red second coat, and I went ahead and clear coated the whole thing. So that's done. I think it looks pretty cool. I went with a font, it was called a 1942 font, so it's made to look kind of old and grungy, and I didn't care about overspray or underspray or whatever, because I wanted it to kind of look, you know, a little ragged, so I think it turned out pretty cool. And did both sides, obviously. Also went ahead and modified the clip. It said Kershaw on there, so I just took a drill bit and went ahead and just made some pocks. Went in and drilled them. I didn't go all the way through, just made some half holes and just kind of pock up that top and give it some texture, some character, all while getting rid of that Kershaw name, and then went ahead and buffed the whole thing out. And I think it turned out pretty cool. Just gave it some character, kind of brought the theme with the holes and all that stuff, ties it all in. And then went ahead and polished all the hardware and polished the blade. And I did a video on that, obviously, and you guys can check that out. And I think it turned out pretty well. And get everything back together. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the plate, and I go ahead and put the liner inside. I'm going to put this spacer on because it kind of helps hold that together. There we go. And I'm also going to put the pin through to hold the blade and make sure that lines up. There we go. Alright. So before I put the bushing on, I'm going to go ahead and put some lubrication here. It's just an all-purpose multi-purpose synthetic based lubricant. It's called Super Lube, but there's a lot of different brands out there. You can use whatever. I'm just going to put a little in there, just give it a little bit of lubrication, and then go ahead and lubricate the top as well before I put the blade on. There we go. And we'll get that blade set in there nicely. Perfect. Okay, now we get this spacer set in there, and this thing does flop around, so it takes a little bit of adjusting. So I'm going to go ahead and put this top plate on. Actually, you know what? Before that, I'm going to go ahead and put the other bushing on that side, so don't want to forget that. Again, put a little bit of lubrication down. Get the other one, put it right on there. And then go ahead and put a little more lubrication on top of that. That will do ya. And we're good there. Alright. So, let's seat that between there. And everything kind of crunched together. Perfect. And then go ahead and get this lined up so I can put that speed safe bar in there. There we go. Okay, and what I've done here is I've actually lubricated where that bar is going to lay, because it does move back and forth on that plate, and I just want to make sure it had adequate lubrication for when it does that. So this reset. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this plate on too, and it's actually got a cavity in there that you actually need to put lubrication in as well, because that bar is going to move through there. It actually helps it from wobbling around, and just in case it does scrape up, it has some lubrication while it's moving back and forth. So some lubrication there, and then I just put some lubrication there, and it should be good. So we're going to go ahead and sandwich this back together. Alright, looks good. I'm going to put my screws in to fasten everything down, kind of get it so it doesn't flop around. Perfect. Alright, and you can also put lock them down or Loctite or any kind of thread adhesive on these as well. I'm not going to do it now because I want to make sure everything's set before I do any kind of permanent lockdown on this. So those look like they're set nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and screw those in. Alright. I'm just going to get them snug. There we go. That looks good. And then we'll go ahead and lock that blade in there. Change my bit out. There we go. Okay. That's in. Just want to make sure everything's set. Don't hear any rattles. Good. Closed up. And there you go. Speed Safe works. Everything looks like it's gone back together perfectly. Alright, now we're going to check for blade wobble. And it is a little touch wobbly, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. There we go. And that got rid of it. Perfect. Still have the Speed Safe. Put the blade out nice and fast, so we know it's not tightened down too tight. And you can also put the Loctite on that as well, but like I said, I'm going to leave it out until everything's done. Just want to make sure everything's good, and then I can go through and put the Loctite on. Now we'll get the clip on here. There we go, and then one more screw. And the whole thing should be back together. There we go. Torque down a little bit. Perfect. Alright. Get it cleaned up. And here we have it. The finished Kershaw Cyclone 1630. I think it turned out pretty well. This is actually the first time I've modified a knife handle and everything. I've done a polish on the Benchmade blade, and that's kind of why I decided to do this, kind of as an example of what else you could do. Obviously I showed you how to do the blade polish, and then maybe gave you some ideas of some other stuff you could do to your own knives. So just to give you a comparison, this is the blade, and this is the original. So this is the 1630 modified, and this is the original version. So I think it turned out pretty cool. And obviously I changed that to tip up carry, and this is how it comes from the factory. And check them out closed. So there you go. Hope it gave you some ideas of possibly something you can do with your knives. Hope you like it. If not, to each his own. But please leave your comments. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. And if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. And hopefully I'll be doing some other stuff. And if you have any requests to see anything, let me know. Hopefully post some videos on that as well. So anyway, I'm Peeps, and you're in the Peeps Pit. And I will check you out next time. See ya.